In this video, we are going to learn about inheritance. Inheritance in object-oriented programming is equal to when a class derives from another class. So let's say if I have a class called A, let's say, okay, and if I'm deriving any class, let's say I'm deriving a class called B out of this class, then that means this is a parent class and this is the child class. So what advantage is that if we derive B from A, then I can access all the properties and methods of class A in class B. So this is the advantage of deriving a class from another class. We can access all the properties and methods of the parent class inside the child class. So even this class is called superclass, or and you can call it a subclass. Okay, so there are different names that can be given, but usually I prefer parent and child analogy because because it sounds relatable to me. Because see, this is a parent and we are deriving a class called B from A, so that's why it became a child. B is a child of A. The child class will inherit all the public and protected properties and methods from the parent class. As I said, we can, the child class will inherit all the properties, but here there is one condition. Only public and protected properties and methods can be inherited. Now see, we have three types. We have public, private, and protected. These are access specifiers which are given to properties and methods. Okay, so there are three types of access specifiers that we have. Okay, so we have first public, which is the default. So if I don't specify any access specifier, that means the default will be public. So the property or the method, property is called variable and method is called the function. They can be accessed from everywhere, means we can access the properties and methods of that class anywhere in my program if they are public. That is, that should be the condition. If they are protected, then the properties or methods can be accessed within the class and by the classes derived from that class. So in the parent class and in the child class. And if the methods or properties are private, then they can only be accessed within the same class. Okay. So these are the three access specifiers that you should know. Okay. So here we can only inherit public and protected. See, because it is logical. Now, if the properties or methods are public, then child class can easily inherit because we can access we can access properties and methods everywhere in our program if they are public. And if they are protected, we can access them inside this parent class and in the child class. Other than that, nowhere in the program, only inside these classes, parent class and the child class. And if it is private, then we can only access them inside this class. Let's say if I have two variables that are private inside this class, then I can only be able to access them inside this class. I cannot access them inside the child class or anywhere in the program. So this is important to note when we learn the concept of inheritance, because inheritance says that we can access all the properties and methods, but this condition should be satisfied. If they are public and protected, then only we can inherit. In addition, it can have its own properties and methods. So the child class will inherit all the properties and methods. And in addition to that, it can have its own properties and methods as well. An inherited class is defined by using the extends keyword. So we have to make use of the keyword extend. Okay. So let's see this practically using an example. I have PHP tags, and now I will just create two classes. One will be the parent class, class car, okay, and other will be the child class, class bike. Okay, let's say for now I'm just creating the two classes. Okay, Now what I will do is, if I want to inherit all the properties and methods of this class inside this class bike, then I have to use the keyword extends, and then the name of the class, car, here. So this car bike is now the child class, and the class car is now the parent class. Okay, so I will be able to access all the properties and methods of this class inside the class bike only if they are public or protected, public and protected. So I'll just create two variables here, dollar name, and for now I'm just keeping everything public, okay, so that we can access them. And let's create one function to assign values. Assign values. Okay, I'll just create one function to assign values to these variables. Okay, so for that, what we'll do is, I'll just take two arguments, $var1 and $var2, and I'll just assign the values to this variable. var1, $var1, $var2. Okay, so when I call this function, I will pass two values. So the first value will be stored inside this variable, and the second value will be stored inside this variable. And then I'm just assigning these two values in this variable. So the name, so the value will be stored inside name variable and color variable. Okay, now let's create one more method, public. Okay, okay, so let's create a method to display them. So I'll just say display values, and we'll just display values this echo dollar this. We'll just break the line here so that it gets printed onto the new line, dollar this color, then again we'll the line, so that it looks neat and tidy. Okay, so I have created two methods inside the parent class, and let's create one method inside the child class. As I'll just say public function and just name it as display, and here I will just simply echo out I am a child class, okay, and just break the line. So, so now in order to access the properties, now see, I'm just extending this class, okay, car inside this class. So this class bike will be able to access all these methods and properties. So in order to access these properties and methods, we have to create the object of the child class. Why why child class? Because now child class is able to access all the properties and methods of the parent as well. So we'll just create its object. We'll just say obj1 is equal to new bike. And now we'll just first let's access these two methods which are in the parent class. Okay, so first let's say assign values. So let's call this method $obj1, and the method name is assign value. Okay? And I'll just pass two values. Let's say I will pass here Skoda, which is the name, and let's pass the color as black. Okay, so what will happen is the value Skoda will be stored inside the variable var1, and value black will be stored inside the variable var2, and then I'm just assigning that these two values to the variables name and the color. So eventually the name variable will hold the value Skoda, and the variable color will hold the value black. Okay, now I will just display them. Okay, I'll just call this function in order to display the values. Let's see everything works perfectly or not. $obj1, and we'll just call the display method. Okay, and after that let's call the okay, sorry, it is display values, and then we will call the display method which is inside our child class. Okay, so even let's call this as well. Let's see everything is working perfectly. Display. Okay, so first what will happen is, first Koda and black will be printed, these two. Okay, and then this statement will be printed, I am a child class. Let's see whether it works or not. I'll just refresh. Okay, so as you can see, Skoda, black, and I am a child class has been printed onto the screen. Okay, so we can create the object of the child class and can access all the properties and methods only if they are public and protected. If they are private, we cannot access them. Let's say if I keep this method as private. Okay, let's keep these two methods as private. So then I will get an error. Let's see what error we get. I'll just reload this and we can see, okay, call to private method. So this is a fatal error. Okay, so if it is a private method, we cannot access it inside this class. Okay, so it has to be public or protected, then only we can use inheritance, otherwise we cannot. Okay, so now let's keep it public for now. Public. Okay, and now let's move on to our overriding inherited methods. Now what this means is, inherited methods can be overridden by redefining the methods use the same name inside the child class. Let's say if I have two methods with the same name, one in parent class and one in the child class, then the one which is in the child class will be given the priority. Means this method will override this method. Okay, so the method which is inside the child class will override the method in the parent class only if they have the same name. Okay, so this is called as method overriding. Let's see, I'll just give you an example. Let's see if I keep this keep the name of this method as display, then let's see what happens. I'll just cancel out this. Now I have one display method in parent class and one display method in child class, and I'm just calling it once. So this will be given the priority because it is inside the child class and it will override this complete method. So we'll get to see I am a child class onto the screen. Let's see. This is a very easy concept. See, I am a child class. So basically what it says is the method which is inside the child class will override the method in the parent if they have the same name. Okay. So now let's jump on to final keyword. Now this is the final concept. Okay. The final keyword can be used to prevent class inheritance or to prevent method overriding. Let's say if you want to prevent class inheritance or method overriding, then you can make use of the keyword final. Okay. So let's say, okay, so this is an example, but let's see this in an IDE. Let's say if I keep this class as final, then I won't be able to uh, uh, inherit this class. Okay, so let's see. We'll just go to our browser. Fatal error. Class bike may not inherit from final class. So if a class is final, we cannot inherit properties and methods of that class inside any class. Okay, so this is a way to prevent inheritance. And if I keep, let's say, this method as final, these two methods as final, then I won't be able to access these methods. Okay, sorry, not. Let's say if I keep these two methods as final, now see, here we have a method called display and here we have a method called display. So if I keep any one of the methods as final, then we cannot perform method overriding. Let's see why. I'll just run this. We cannot override final method. So if a method is final, we cannot override it. Here I have kept this method as final, so you cannot override this method. So if you, in short, if you want to prevent inheritance or method overriding, then you have to make use of the keyword final. That is the only. Okay. So this was everything that you need to know about inheritance. I have tried to cover each and every concept. Okay, how, what is inheritance and all those access modifiers, method overriding, and the final keyword. So this is all about inheritance in this video. Thank you.